I'm Patricia Jelly. I have been with the Elizabeth Education Organizing Committee for 2009. And we coordinate. And for those who do not know what the organization is, it's a group of parents and interested community people who know that they have a right and responsibility to be part of improving our schools. And no matter how good the schools might be, they can always be improved, right? So that's what we do. So we meet monthly, we plan actions, and one of the things which we'll talk about later, which connects with the school board, was about 2 years ago. We got the school board at that time to change the public response time, which had been, if you remember, 10:30, 11 o'clock, 11:30 p.m. So we got them to do it at the beginning, before the business session, and which was fine. But the thing is, we also have entertainment, which I think we still do, by the children. And it's wonderful that the students would entertain the community and the parents, but it should be on another night. We believe that, and we'll want to hear from you, certainly. We believe that the school board at the time is business, and it's the business of improving our schools, and the business of stating policy to improve our schools. So that is pretty much in a nutshell who we are as a group. You have down there, we are meeting in November 15th. Obviously, it's an open meeting. Anyone is welcome. You have in front of you, at least if you picked it up in the back, what the process is, and the candidates have received it before this evening. That will begin with an introduction by each candidate, 2 to 3 minutes, and Barbara Townsend, would you raise your hand, Barbara? She'll let you know when the 1 and 2 minutes is and when the 1 minute to left and then the 2 minutes is up. We're asking, the candidates are aware of this, that they not distribute materials during the meeting itself, but to put it back here. So if anyone has not yet put it back here, you're welcome to do that. We're asking the audience to be as brief as possible, stick to education issues, no personal attacks. We've had a lot of experience these days, have we not, with the presidential debates where there have been personal attacks. So let's keep Elizabeth as it should be. Every audience participant is given an opportunity to ask a question before a participant can ask additional questions. Okay, so if you ask a question, anyone else who wants to, should ask it first before you come back. Any candidate who wishes can respond to the questions. If a candidate agrees with another candidate, it's in the interest of giving everyone who wishes an opportunity to speak. Don't repeat, just say, you agree. Okay? And if a candidate does not directly answer the question, but uses your time to talk about another issue, the moderator will tell the candidate that he or she is not responding to the question. The candidate will not be given additional time to answer the question, okay? This, I think, is straightforward. No crosstalk or debating is permitted during this forum. If the candidate wishes to respond to an answer given by another candidate and you've already spoken, you need to wait until the closing remarks. The timekeeper, Barbara, will hold up an index, not an index card, but a paper with 1 minute on it. It will not be blue. And when the time is over, she'll put up at the time over. It's not black, okay? And at 8:40, we'll stop, and then the questions will stop, and then the candidates will have an opportunity for closing remarks. Okay? Any questions on the part of the candidates or the audience? We really do welcome, and we're very, very glad that you took this cold night to come out tonight. Thank you. And we'd ask, why don't you begin?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Christina Herrera. I am the oldest daughter of Portuguese immigrants and was raised in the Ironbound section of Newark until the age of 11. When I moved to the Bay Bay section of Elizabeth, I graduated from Elizabeth High in 1994 and went on to attend UMD, which is now Rutgers, graduating in 2003 with an associate's degree in applied sciences. I work full-time as a dental hygienist in various offices and volunteer my time when I can to educate the community about the importance of dental hygiene. In addition, I am married for 16 years and am a mother of 2 children who attend our Elizabeth Public Schools. I became more involved in educational issues when I was researching the new curriculum called the Common Core and PARC testing. I came to realize in Elizabeth there wasn't a place where parents could voice and share educational concerns and ideas. As a result of this, I founded the Facebook group Elizabeth Parents and Students Care, an advocacy group that addresses systemic issues in our schools and helps to create educational accountability. I was then asked to become an organizer for Save Our Schools New Jersey about 3 years ago. They are a grassroots organization of parents who believe that every child in New Jersey should have the same access to high-quality public education. Around the same time, I started to attend our Board of Ed meetings and have now become a familiar face, addressing issues like the impact of standardized testing on our children, the lack of equal access to education, inappropriate actions of the past and seated board, lead testing of our water, graduation requirements, to name a few. My advocacy has taken me to Trenton, where I have addressed the New Jersey State Board of Ed, the State Education Commission regarding PARC testing, and the current graduation requirements here in Elizabeth, as well as the New Jersey Special Ed Committee. I feel strongly that the type of resources our children can access in this district should not be determined by their zip code or the academy they attend. I look forward to meeting teachers, principals, students, and parents and finding out what works and what is necessary to become a successful school district. I believe that the district's slogan, "All means all," needs to be true every day in every school in every way. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Lorenz, and I am a proud mother of 2 boys. I currently work for a pharmaceutical company within the Human Resource Department. As a high school dropout, I am proud that today I hold a bachelor's degree in business administration and a master's degree in human resource management. I have been a strong community advocate in different areas, but more specifically in special education, as it is an area that is dear to my heart due to my children who are special needs. I completed the SPAN SRP training to serve as a resource to parents within the community, and my advocacy can be seen at past board meetings for the past 3 years. I am also an administrator to the Elizabeth Parents and Students Care Facebook page, which is an independent advocacy group that addresses educational concerns. If elected, my focus would be to ensure that the money is being spent and utilized where it needs to go, which is for our children, increase parental involvement and community participation, increase the graduation rates, and drastically reduce our 30% dropout rate, which affects the Latino and African American communities here in Elizabeth. I like to create policies to establish a functional special education parent advisory council, along with a bilingual parent advisory council to better support our bilingual parents. As an independent parent, I want to bring trust, transparency, and accountability that I feel is currently missing from the current board back to the taxpayer and the voters in Elizabeth. I am running as a passionate parent, not a politician. I have no endorsements from any party or special interest group. I am here, willing, ready, and able to serve you, the voters. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ricky Castaneda, and as you may know, I am running for school board. I recently graduated from Elizabeth High School, specifically Upper Canada, and I've been in the school system for the past 12 years. And these past 12 years, I felt like as a student, I hadn't had any representation from any of the school boards that in the past, present, I felt like I had no voice. So I decided this past July to run for school board because I want students to have, some type of representation in the school board and all those decisions that they can do. There's stuff that I plan on wanting to do. For example, transparency. Without transparency, I believe that without transparency, there cannot be change in the interior, starting from curriculums to zero-tolerance policies that have been going on. As a student, I've witnessed a lot of racism that has been going on between administrators, and it's an issue that has not been touched because we've been worried so much about taxpayers. What about the students? I mean, of course, taxes are very important, but I think the students also should have something to say in the school board, and that's why I'm here tonight to hopefully gain some support. Thank you so much.
And I'm currently a commissioner on the Board of Education. I'm a lifelong resident here of the city. I was born in Brooklyn, but immediately moved here to Elizabeth, New Jersey many years ago with my family. And I'm a son of a Haitian immigrant family who worked very hard to put my brother and I through school. We grew up in Oakwood Plaza, which is better known as Pierce Manor, where many would see me today and say, you know what? It's impossible that you came from Oakwood Plaza. I hear this all the time, and people say this to me. My story starts many years ago when I got engaged in law. I was told in preschool that I would not be able to go to college. My guidance counselor said that to me. And with all the odds facing me and all the challenges facing me, I took that challenge on to the head, and I got accepted to every college that I applied to. And it's been my lifelong mission to make sure that a guidance counselor never, ever, ever says that to a student ever again. Sitting on the Board of Education has been an arduous task. I can't believe it was just 3 years ago that I came here to a candidates debate to fight for my cause and say why I wanted to run. And now 3 years I'm back again to get reelected. I have been fighting for the people, fighting for residents here in the city for many, many years. Whether I was elected or not, I have been an advocate for youth and families here in the city. I've served as a mentor, I've created programs for youth and families throughout the city, and that's my number one priority. My number one priority in education is that we establish equity here in the schools, and it's real equity that you can see and that's tangible for you. So tonight I hope we get a chance to get to know each other. I commend you all for attending, and I commend all the candidates here for being here with us this evening. Thank you so much.
I'm a mother of 21 kids. I adopted 17 children. I'm a grandmother of 32 and 3 great-grandchildren. So I'm proud. The reason I'm running, people say I always run. Let me clear something up. Running is my goal. Win or lose, I'm going to continue. I could run for other things in the city, but I don't know the city. I know about the education. I know the education of the children. Some that are receiving them, some that are not receiving them. Some of the children I see that are dropping out, that's one of the things I want to fix. Because these children that are dropping out, they're going to the streets. The streets isn't nowhere. And when we have kids in the streets, we don't have a future. Because education is education on children for the future. This is one of the things I'm running for. I'm running for another reason of nepotism. We still have nepotism in our schools, and that has to be stopped. I think qualified people should get a job, not for who they know and what they do for any of the candidates. Okay? I also would like to let everybody know that I do have organizations. I've been a baseball coach for the past 2 years for Elizabeth Elmora. I've also been doing Elizabeth Packers. I also have an organization that I opened up for my grandchildren because they're Ecuadorian. It's called Ecuadorians in New Jersey. And I also have a new organization that's called Autism Has Talent. I am a grandmother that has 2 special needs children that has autism, and that is, I just don't know how anybody could deal with that, because having my grandchildren there, it's kind of hard. So I'm just hoping that everyone comes out and support me. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. Thanks, Pacelli, for having us here. So I'm Diane Barbosa. I was born and raised lifelong resident of Elizabeth. I was raised in a bilingual household where Portuguese was my first language and English was my second language. In 2006, I graduated from St. John's University in Queens, New York, with a doctorate program in pharmacy, where I've been working as a pharmacy manager for over 10 years at the Stop and Shop down the street, which I love. And actually brings me to why I run for the Board of Education. So let me tell you about my daily routine. So I wake up and I go to my morning job and I take care of the health and the well-being of my patients, which is beautiful, and then I come home. I come home to twins. I have 5-year-old twins that just turned 5 last Monday, Matthew and Julia, which are on completely different realms of learning spectrums. So I have one child that's writing the first and last name, and then I have another child that's not barely saying a sentence. And that's my passion. That's why I'm here, that's why I'm focused, and that's what I'm gonna work for. I wanna be that outlet. I wanna be that person that you can come to, that commissioner, that parent, that mom that you can come to when you're afraid and you look at your child and you don't know where to start. When you look and you see, how am I gonna educate my child? Well, I'll be here. I'll be your outreach. I'll tell you who, where, and where to start. Especially if your child needs that extra help. Especially if your child needs to be in our special education program. Education is fundamental, and that's why I'm here. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jose Rodriguez, and born and raised here in Elizabeth. My family's been here actually for over 44 years in Elizabeth. My parents used to own a restaurant, Madrid restaurant, for many years, where I learned how to work hard even as a small child. I graduated from Rutgers University, and then I received my first master's from St. Peter's University in educational administration. I then went on and continued my education at Kane University, where this summer I actually gained my second master's in special education, and this September I was actually accepted into the doctoral program for education in St. Peter's University. I've been a teacher for, this is my 13th year, special education, and also switched over from regular education. So education, I breathe, sleep, eat education every day. Whether it's I go to the one job and only job that pays me up at Watchung Hills, or if I come down here and I'm a board member. I work with special needs students where I volunteer my time every Saturday morning, teaching them how to play soccer. I also am a coach. I've coached soccer for the last 7 years. This year, sadly, I had to actually give that up because I'm pursuing my doctorate now. So, like I said, for me, education is not a joke. I do it every day. I have a passion for it. I really, really love it. What have we done? Well, first I wanted to say thank you, Pat Jelly, and to the EEOC. When I first started running, Pat Jelly and members here in the Board of Education, well, in the crowd, also Maria, Ms. Dixon, I believe, was here too. We started working together actually in the basement of Mount Demon Church. James, you were there also. And one of the major things was to make sure that speaking was at the beginning of the meeting. This year, when we finally took majority, that's the very first thing that we did. We made sure that we moved, along with many other things, but we moved public speaking to the beginning to make sure that the public had some time. So, over the years, what have we done? This year, we made sure that there was no tax increase. We didn't lay off anyone at the school system. We're looking to hire 46 new teachers. I am very proud to be able to work with City Council and Union County Freeholder Board to bring programs into Elizabeth where we actually don't have to spend school money, where we can work together. This summer, we worked with the Union County Freeholders to get some of our students paid to actually fix some computers at our schools. So I'm proud to be able to work with other elected officials to make sure that all of our students get a good education. We also started an Arabic bilingual program for the first time ever here in Elizabeth. We also, for the first time, I think since modern times, our graduation rate is at 81%. When we first came onto the Board of Education, Stan, myself, and Charlene, the graduation rate was at 71%. Thank you.
An excellent beginning, so we're open for questions now. And if you wish to ask a specific candidate, you may do that, but then anyone else may answer the question, okay? So, don't everyone jump up and down. Please.
Okay. When you're dealing with, okay, as board members, I would like to see that you are looking at out-of-school districts as well. So when, let's say, a child is given a violent handle with care technique, that parents are told of this violent restraint move before looking at the school, and we're not aware of it, we haven't signed off on the paperwork giving the school permission to do this technique, because there is a nonviolent one called CPI. There is a nonviolent restraint and a violent restraint one, where the handle with care is like wrestling takedown moves. So how can we get the board or special services or whoever it is that is supposed to be aware of these school things, that the district is paying for these schools to educate our children, that we are aware of all this? How would that kind of always work? Because, I mean, you guys, when we would go to either a board member or special services building, it would just, you don't have control of how the school is, but you are recommending these schools and signing off on this. So what can be done to change that?
So, are you asking, what is it? I'm not clear on your question. Can you repeat it? What is the?
Okay. Just the question, Maria, just the question.
What can be done differently when there is a school that is recommended from our district to a student from our district, okay, that there is abuse going on in that school? How's that? Where they are getting abusive with our children.
Is the school outside of the district, but the student has been...
Is part of the district.
Well, first and foremost, I don't think that the school would recommend a school that is...
Like at Glenview Academy.
Okay, no, we're talking about...
Okay.
Well, I'm going to try to answer the question. I don't think that the district would recommend a school that's known for abuse. I think that one of the first protocols is that when a school is recommended to a parent, the parent and the school should definitely sit down and meet, and the parent should make an assessment to see if this is the proper fit for their child, and then consult again with the school district to see if this is a good fit. I think it's all about communication. I think oftentimes in the education system, you hear from, your superintendent, you hear from your principals, this is the right fit for the child, and the parent doesn't really question or second guess it, and they go with that recommendation. I think that with a recommendation coming from a school district, you should always question it, you should always evaluate it, and I think that if there are issues within that school, it should be reported to the district, and we as a district should remove it off our list if these reportings are found to be true.
I know when you do the intake, that's not what they tell you.
No discussion. Okay.
I just want to,
Maria, go ahead.
thank you.
Or-
Hi Maria, how are you? As a special needs advocate, I think that the school district should be establishing a policy in district about restraints within special needs. I know that that has also been a very touchy subject as a special needs mom and having gone through the IEP meeting and an advocate myself. For schools that are out of district, I think it's very important to make sure that you go over your IEP with a very fine-tooth comb and that you're making sure that your wishes are clearly stated. I think that you need to be in constant communication with the school and have conversations with your child every day if you can't communicate, or have a communication notebook, and keep very good documentation as to what's going on inside and out of district. But I think that a policy should be developed within district. I know that we've run into several issues of special needs issues within our own district. So if it's happening to you out of district, I think that you need to go over your IEP with a fine-tooth comb and really make sure that that's clearly documented, that you prefer not to, or that you prefer to have restraints, although me personally, I wouldn't put that in mind.
Well, let me tell you mine.
No, I'm sorry, I can't tell you that.
Okay, go ahead.
After you certainly can speak further. And again, just remember that you do have to take the steps. I'm assuming that before you would go to the school board, that you have gone to
We went to
the school district
We went to the
first.
school itself.
Yes, so I
And if you don't
understand
find that helpful care, they have you remove your child.
Yeah, okay, but go to the school district with a complaint and then to the school board, not first. Maria? Second.
I think what you're saying is, I think that what Mr. Nahron has said, that parents go to the school, but parents could go to any school, and it could look a beautiful school. We don't know. Okay? I think that you do have the right to go see the Board of Education that placed your child inside the school. I think that they should have somebody investigating it for you more than one time. I don't know.
It's all in-house, like in the school itself, but it's biased.
But the thing is, it's like, to me, if the Elizabeth School is recommending this school, you should also take your complaint and let them be aware. Because they're going to recommend more students, special needs to that school. And it may not be your child, it could be much more other children that are getting hurt. So I think that Elizabeth School Board should also have someone there to hear the complaints of outside district children that are going out. Because if we're gonna keep recommending that school, and one of our children from our city is gonna keep getting hurt. And like you said, you had to sign something, if you don't sign it, your child can't attend. No child should be out of school. So that's when, as a recommendation from the Elizabeth Board of Education, it falls on their responsibility. Because we're sending our kids out. So it's either, it lies on both ways. You understand? You make your complaint there, but also you have to have somebody over here in the special needs to be aware what's going on out district to our children from the district. So that's where I think that we should have a panel in special needs to go investigate some of these schools in which we're sending out. Correct?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I'm just gonna add to what they're saying. I know what you're feeling. And I know when you go out of district, you feel that sometimes you're not even, part. But again, it's a family just with their wings spread out. Now, sometimes there's such a line of command, and you say, oh, the school board, but there's so many people that you feel that you have to go through to get to the school board. So in essence, when you're sitting there with the special education, because I'm thinking that you came back to the special education, at 505 Westminster, right? You brought it to their attention, what was happening at your school. And then sometimes, these board members or the board members don't actually know. And that's that outlet, that's that liaison, where you as a parent should feel comfortable and come, after you speak to whoever you have to at the special services. You can fall back on the board member. But I know that there's like a line.
No, I'm sorry. We can't have a conversation. Again, we can talk later, yes. And again, just try to add to what has been said rather than repeat.
Well, I just wanted to speak to, not only in special ed, but I think for her to come here and speak about a particular issue, I think speaks volumes to the fact that there is no outlet for parents right now in district to come and bring their concerns amongst each other. That was one of the main reasons I started the Elizabeth Parents and Students Care Group, was because there was no place for parents to come together and talk to each other and say, hey, I'm having a problem in this school, and this parent say, oh, I'm having the same problem here. And that is why myself and Maria Lorenz fought very hard to try to implement a real CPAC, a real Special Needs Parent Advisory Committee, which still to this day does not exist. A place where parents can come and discuss issues like she's having, and have somebody from the head of special services there to kind of oversee what's going on. It's very unfortunate that the policy was just passed and there is no parental involvement. This from people who said that they wanted to do right by special needs. So not only for special needs, but for the community as a whole. There is no place where parents can come, besides the board meeting, and, you know, your 3 minutes are up and you better get off that mic, that parents can come and really express their concerns, express what they're feeling, because again, as board members, we really don't know what's going on inside the schools, unless parents come and tell us. And the board meeting is not really the best place for it. We need to have community meetings, roundtables with parents, so that we can, find out what are the real issues and how to address them.
And there are, your group is there, there's also the Elizabeth Education Organizing. So that's the purpose of it, is to come together to see if there are common issues, and then those with the common issue can address the concerns to the appropriate persons. Another question, or unless you want to?
I just wanted to add one more thing, if I may.
Sure,
just real
please,
quick.
of course.
I believe that every board member that takes office should be skillfully and highly trained in all aspects of education. As a board member, people are lay people. So they are coming, they're you, they're the community, they're the parents, they're the business owners that come and want to run for office to sit here and make decisions on our children. I think that you should be trained in all aspects, including special education, so that when you are brought something to the table you have to vote on, that you're making an educated vote, and that you're just not voting just to get it over with. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. And I mistakenly let you respond, even though you had responded to this before. Go ahead, Tina.
Okay.
Another question.
Another question. I'm not a parent, I'm an auntie, but I am a concerned citizen of the city of Elizabeth. With school here, I have a question for the board members here now. Why isn't there a program for parents of children who are disabled? Okay, let me say advisory board. They need to be heard. Mr. Rodriguez?
Yep. So, I know contrary to what someone said, there is a CPAC, there is a special education parent group that we do have a policy. We redid the policy. And again, I know like Pat Shelley said, nothing is perfect, and we will continue to fix it as if it doesn't work or we need to change it. So we have a CPAC that runs now. I know some people don't like how exactly it's run, and we listen and we try to change some things. We do have parents. We have parents. The policy is there, but we pick a parent that has a disabled child from a certain age group. A parent who has a disabled child from high school. We have a parent who's an out-of-district placement parent. We have an in-district placement parent. So we have parents in there. It is functioning. Can we do more with it? Absolutely. I've gone to a Jersey City CPAC meeting to try to see what they do. They were one of the first and one of the longest running CPACs in our state right now. So to see exactly how they do it, how do they improve it, and we'll continue to improve it. But we do have one. Now, what we also are going to do next year is we have PTOs. We have PTOs at every school. Some schools have better PTOs, some that are half functioning, and some schools sadly don't have any PTOs. That's something outside of our control. We wish we could push it more, and we're trying to do that. But next year what we're going to try to push, because PTOs are a separate organization outside of the board and outside of the school, is we're going to start to push for a special education PTO. So these parents that meet outside, that get together. So we're going to try to recruit, but again, we have to be very careful because that is an outside group. It's not technically part of the Board of Education. So we're going to continue to have that outreach. We know that the missing link in Elizabeth in terms of getting over that next step to closing that achievement gap is the parents. And we know we have to include more parents. Have we done a good job? A little bit. Do we need to go? Yes. We understand also that not every parent communicates online. Some need to be sent paperwork at home. Some we need to send with the children. Sometimes we have to have programs during the day when parents work at night. Sometimes we have to have programs at night when parents work during the day. We have schools we have programs downtown. We have programs up in Elmora. We have programs midtown, North End. We try to do what we can. Can we do better? Absolutely. Are we perfect? Not even close. But we're going to continue. And like my colleagues up here did say, sometimes the Board of Education meeting is not the appropriate time. Will we listen to you? Absolutely. We'll listen to you at a Board of Ed meeting. We'll listen to you at whatever point you want. But what I don't think many people can say is that myself and Stan and other board members are not accessible. We put our phone number up on social media, we give our cards out to whoever will take them. You know, I have plenty of cards, I'll give them out to everybody, I'll give my cell phone out, I'll give my email out. So we want people to call us. We want them. So.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, Amy?
Sure, I think there's still a lot of work to be done. I think that there's a definite need for parent education to really educate the parent on, not just parents with special needs, but parents in general about the education process. I don't think people even understand the election process and why you have these board members and the role of board members, So it's an overall education that's needed and that has to continue. One of the key things that I can say that was done this year is the making contact with every single school through our president's tour that she did when she went around all the schools. We have our president, Charlie Bethis, who's here with us today. But not only did she do that, she established, we as a board and with her leadership established Community Connect, where we established office hours where you can meet with the board president to really voice your concerns and your issues that you're having within the schools. And at that point in time, direction is then given to assistant superintendents, different supervisors, different directors to meet the needs of the parents. Are they always met to the highest and best? No, it's a work in progress. The change that we've been talking about is something that is going to take some time, and it's being worked on, and it's something that we wish could happen quicker and much faster and more efficiently. But it's with every organization and every institution that you want to change, it takes time to internally change that infrastructure and establish the changes you really want to see.
Yes, Maria.
Hi, I just wanted to state in response to that question that you asked, I was the first elected president of the CPAC. I ran the CPAC in both languages at the same time, English and Spanish. I will translate for my Spanish parents. After I was elected, there was a policy that was created that would have the PTO president and the principal pick a parent for the CPAC. That CPAC ran last year. That CPAC only ran workshops. There was no discussions like I had with my CPAC when I ran it. There was no website that will update you as to resources in and outside of your community where you can go to or educate parents on their basic rights within special education. I also want to add that the new policy now has the child study team, which is the team that puts together for your child, and also the principal gets to pick the parent. That is not, for me, a very fair process. It omits anyone that is passionate, that wants to join or maybe vocal, as I have been at previous board meetings, from participating and attending. And that parent would not be picked because that parent is exactly that parent. So you would not be picked for something like this because it is totally at the discretion of the CST team and also a principal. So basically, you're at the mercy of whoever you fall in their very good graces for. So that to me is not a functional CPAC. I think that is a CPAC that is established to handpick those chosen few that they want to participate and for them to be compliant with the process. I also wanted to say that I attended a state guideline setting where people from all over New Jersey came and there was a state representative, and we were there to sit and set guidelines for how to establish a functioning CPAC. And many parents gave their input. They took all of that input down. They ran to Trenton with it, and right now the Department of Education is currently working on some of these guidelines so that districts can have a unified format to follow and not pick and choose and do whatever adjustments they want. This isn't a cafeteria plan where I want vegetables and mashed potatoes but exclude the meatloaf. I also wanted to say I didn't see any board member that was there present at any of these guideline setting meetings, and I went to 2 of them. And I think that's rather disappointing because that shows me that you don't have a vested interest when it comes to special education. And I like to say that right now that is the 10% within the K to 8 that have a disability, and within the high school that is also 10% of children that have a disability. So that's a total of 20% of our population that is special ed. I think we need to be informed. I think that we need to be out there and we need to be educated and understand and listen to different points of views and not establish blanket policies policies because it works for one district. This isn't a one size fits all. As you know, for special education, it's individualized. It's each and every single student that has a different need. Thank you.
Next question? Yes.
Can I answer?
Oh, okay, go ahead, Maria. Excuse me first.
I'm sorry. Special education is important for everybody. 3 years ago, people voted for someone that was pushing special education, that they were going to do major changes. 3 years after, those changes were never done. Fooled the voters, fooled the parents, didn't have an idea on anything. Ms. Lorenz is right. She has been into a lot of board meetings, and she has been pushing for the CPAC, and she has also been there asking to join. I am a witness. Me and Lorenz and Christina, we don't get along, but credit is due when it's due. She has been vocal, and that is a problem with the Board of Education. They do not want people that are vocal. They want people that will do what they say. And when you do what they say, you can't get the jobs done. And that is a problem. Because as parents, and as I am a parent, I don't have to go to the board. You go protocol, you go higher. Take down those names that you went to, give them a time to respond. If they don't, go to training. They have to do it. But the special education, I'm sorry, but I heard this thing 3 years ago. And it's still the same from 6 years ago, 9 years ago, when we had the old board members. Nothing's gonna change. Unless you get serious people up there that are willing to listen. Because every time when I go to a board meeting, 28 years I've been advocating at the board meeting, except for 3 years when my mom was sick. I took time off. My mom comes first. I think that special education is needed. It's needed more than any other child right now, because special education children needs that extra push out there. Our other students could survive that outworld. Special education, unless mommy and daddy are around, and without that good education, and a lot of parents don't care. That's why we need people in there that really do care for their children, that the parents are not there for them.
That's all, thank you.
Yeah, I just want to comment on this.
Yes.
So, basically from what I'm hearing on this, I think it's just lack of communication, basically. It's definitely something that should be an issue that should be resolved. Speaking with many parents that these past few weeks, I've noticed that we are an urban district, we are an urban city, and most households are, most of the time, both parents or a single parent household. The parents just working, and they don't have time to sit on these board meetings, and unfortunately, their voices are not there to be heard. But what I do notice, that they might have time for maybe to sit down for at least 5 minutes, so maybe go on their phones and using social media as a way to maybe some type of communication for everyone. I know there's already a Facebook page, Twitter page, YouTube page for EPS, but I believe that we should have someone designated, as a way, like some type of media senator or something like that, to a way of specific someone to reach out to everyone that's unavailable to, attend these meetings or CPACs or all the
There's another person first. No, Maria.
I was a student at Elizabeth High School, graduated in 2015, so it's also nice to see another student up running for board. And what I've noticed that is extremely appalling of our district, and I haven't seen this in other districts nationwide because I've met many students from across the country working in different projects throughout the nation. I've noticed that we have tested our students a lot more than other students. And this is partially not the fault of the Board of Ed, but there is a partial fault in it. So, of course, we have PART, which is a state-mandated exam. We have HESPA, well, HESPA, they came PART, excuse me. We have SATs, we have the new SGOs, which are now state-mandated, but also another issue that I've seen was benchmarks. And those benchmarks are extremely off. I'm going to admit, I had more benchmarks in one day than I had exams in my college in an entire week. It is extremely appalling that I'm seeing the amount of exams affecting our students' grades. And our teachers are also having a downfall effect because of this. We're seeing the teachers not being able to teach, really, in essence, because they're being forced to take these exams, give these exams out to the students. They're being forced to grade them all, send them out to the board, and the board's wasting time and precious money that they need to actually have their teachers teach, but instead we're having our students being taken these exams, which in essence really doesn't do anything. So as elected board members, if anyone of you are elected, what will you do to improve on testing? Will you cut testing? Will certain tests be consolidated like SGO? Would be consolidated in the final rather than a benchmark? Or will there be other tactics to improve on testing?
I certainly want the candidates to answer, but this is a national problem. It's not just Elizabeth, but it's a national problem.
So thank you very much for that question. It's good to see students getting involved also in the process. So first off, as a teacher, I completely agree with you. I think we're way over tested. I completely agree. Over the last couple of years, I was able to speak with the superintendent, and we actually got rid of midterms. Because I said, how are we going to have a benchmark in the middle of the year, and then you literally go into midterms the next week? And we were able to get rid of the midterms. Slowly, we've been cutting back on the percentage. I don't agree with how much they're weighted. The superintendent knows that. We've been fighting, I don't want to say fighting, we've been working with her. It's something that we just can't pull the rug under. But we've been working to bring them back down. I do like the idea, or the original idea of why they were created. Why they were created was to make sure that at that point, 26,000, 27,000 students, we could tell as a district where our students were, so that we could make informed decisions right away. Unlike the park, which I don't like because we don't get those results until next year. So what is the use of my student taking a park exam today if I can't get that information at least back within a week? And they told us, hey, put it in a computer test so that you can get the results back. We don't get them back we still haven't gotten some of those results back for some of our special ed population, for some of our population. So to me, then what you're telling me, that test is really useless. Testing is supposed to be a way of how can I change my teaching depending on how you were assessed. With the benchmarks, I agree. It's something that we have to work with the superintendent. So a lot of people may not understand is, while there's 9 members on the board, the superintendent is still the CEO of the district. So at this point, she runs the district until, the only way that she doesn't run the district is when we have a board meeting. And at that point, it's really kind of when full board meets is when we have any kind of power together. So we have to work with her. We don't say what goes, she doesn't say it goes. The laws have made it that way so that we do have to work together. It's forced that way. We are trying to cut back. Me personally, I'm against so much testing. Now, if a test is good and we can get results back right away and I can change the way I teach because of that, absolutely. Thank you.
Anyone? Yes, Stan and Christina.
Thank you for the question, and thanks for being here this evening and your activism and being involved, being a voice. One of the key things that I can say is that I definitely agree with the amount of testing. It's too much, it's too arduous for the teachers, and it's very stressful on the students, to keep up with all that testing and really start just teaching to test. One of the things that the current board is doing, I serve as the education management chair. So it was through firsthand account meeting with parents during my time and my term, and understanding the impact that benchmarks were having on students' overall grade and their performance, and whether or not they were able to get into an academy of their choice, and so on and so on. It was impacted, and you're talking about students who are performing at their highest and best. So we went back and we strategized on how to reduce the benchmarks and how to apply it in other places and make sure that, we weren't putting the pressure on all the benchmarks and we weren't weighing so much. That was one thing. Second thing that we're doing is working with the National Urban Alliance along with the Pandis Allen Foundation to try to change the culture of teaching and the approach that the school community takes when it comes to educating the child. The culture of teaching needs to change, and the approach on dealing with all the students within the classroom, within the learning community, has to be improved. And that takes professional development, it takes ongoing research within the districts to see what works and what doesn't. It takes time. It's not something that, we see a problem, we want to change it immediately, and we want to go in and do a quick fix, but it's not a quick fix because when you change one thing, it impacts the other. And you're talking about changing policy. We're currently reviewing policy and trying to change those policies. So not only are we doing on this level, but we also have to advocate on a state level with the legislators and the lawmakers to change what's happening nationally and throughout the state. So it's an ongoing fight and advocacy work that yourself, myself, everybody that's sitting here today must continue to do. So thank you.
Christine?
Yes. Well, I think most people who know me know this is my passion, my fight against standardized testing in general, especially Common Core and PARCC testing. That's what first brought me to the board meetings. Was speaking on behalf of the board implementing not so much a policy, but a procedure so that parents are aware that yes, testing is mandated, standardized testing is mandated, but it's not required that you submit your child to take this test. And there was a lot of confusion. Parents were reaching out to me asking me, does my child need to take this test? But the teacher's telling me that my child has to take the test. And so I began the process of trying to educate parents that no, you don't have to take the test, you can refuse. But then parents were like, well, what will happen to my child if they do refuse? And that's when I came to the Board of Ed meetings and asked, along with the two current members that are here, to implement a procedure so that parents would be aware. And to date, we don't have a procedure. We have a verbal procedure, but nothing in writing. So nothing that we can give to parents to say, this is what will happen to your child if they refuse, which would be they pull them out of class and they go to either the library or the cafeteria, and usually they're given work to do. But I have gone before the state commission on PARCC testing, speaking out against PARCC testing and standardized testing in general. Actually, the superintendent had a little workshop about PARCC testing. I went to that and we spoke on, there was a parent there who was concerned also about benchmarks. And myself and her spoke to her about possibly reducing the benchmarks from the 30% to the 20%, and she did. So that was a step in the right direction. There's also math testing that children are taking, starting in kindergarten, which is ridiculous. Again, these are all tests, any kind of standardized test you can opt your child out of. And again, I think that's a thing that is very, parents just don't know. And the district is very slow to let parents know about when the tests are given, so that my daughter and my son took SGOs and I wasn't even aware of it until they came home and told me. You have to inform parents, and that is the big disconnect from the district to the parents. There is no place where parents can come and discuss the frustration, their concerns, their issues, besides those 3 minutes at the board meetings. And I think that's what, will help us come together as a community and work together when it's not just them sitting up there and you sitting down here, and where do we find the middle ground?
My stance on standardized testing, I plan on, cutting it out forward, because I think Common Core and PARCC basically different, but they have an effect on the curriculum that teachers used to teach. I actually spoke with some of my former teachers, and they admitted that most of the teachers are not even teaching. They're just given a curriculum made not even by academic advisors, but they're made by our own lawmakers that have not taught a day in class. So they're taught to, children like when I was a student in Elizabeth, we're taught to test. We're taught to how to take the test. And these testing skills won't, like, you know, once we go to college. I'm currently a college student at Rutgers University. You know, it's a different environment. Many of the students that, many of my peers at Rutgers University, they experienced something else that I haven't gotten to experience, I haven't been exposed to as a student here. So, you know, the thing is, what I hope to do is, or what we hope to do is, the teacher input in these curriculums. But I have heard some issues about that because, you know, the scheduling of teachers is kind of difficult. But, you know, because teacher schedules are different from one another for the same department. So hopefully that issue can be resolved, you know, through just changing schedule, which is another issue, school hours. School hours are very long. Yeah, student athlete, I was a student in my freshman year. You know, that we had to practice, go home, it's late at night, 9 o'clock, do homework, loads of homework that I teach because of these curriculums. And then wake up and continue the same routine from Monday to Friday. And it's very hard on the student, very harmful on the child's health because, you know, there's many studies showing that a child, you know, of our age, we're growing, so they're going to need at least 8 to 9 hours of sleep. Based on, you know, how a student in Elizabeth goes through their days, they're not going to have that 8 to 9 hours of sleep. They're going to have like 4 or 5 if they're lucky. So, you know, Common Core, hopefully, you know, it's a big effect on the student and on the teachers as well.
When I went to school, we only had one test, and that was the CAT test. We were taught from the beginning. That's right. And then we took that CAT test at the end. That was it. That's right. Now, all I hear is my grandson and my grandkids are telling me, well, I can't come over because I got testimony. I was like, what kind of test is this? Oh, they're doing a report card on the teacher. A report card on the teacher? Why does a teacher need a report card? I just think that it's foolish with all this. Because teachers cannot be teachers. And that's why they went to college. They took the handwriting at our children's school. I have to teach my grandson how to cursive write. If they stop some of these testing, maybe we could have handwriting back. Something that's needed for our children. I think that the Board of Education cannot be blamed, but they also are blamed, held accountable. Because we had a strong board, they would have went to Trenton and spoke out. They would have got signatures from parents that are against all these testings. They could have been fighting for the district more. I understand that this is coming from the state, but you know something? We could at least try to change it. Because it is true. A lot of these kids are dropping out of school because they gotta get that 160 credit. All kids aren't made for 160. They're not even made for 120. But with all these testing...
That's a different, very important point, but it's a different question.
No, it's the same thing because the school tests, I'm answering.
Oh,
I'm
excuse
allowed to
me.
answer.
I'm the moderator. So,
Well,
the 160 credits is an important question, but it's a different question.
It's important, so Micah asked it, and I'm just answering. With all these testing, okay, you're not going to turn around and make geniuses out of our kids. You're just going to make more kids drop out. And that's what we're trying to avoid. Okay? I think that we should go back to how we used to do, let the teachers be teachers, and at the end of the year, let the kids take a test. One test. It doesn't have to be a daily thing where one day my grandchildren is learning fractions, then the other day he's learning how to subtract. It's not, when I went to school, and everybody my age, We learned fractions for 2 weeks. We took a test on that to make sure that we knew. But all these testings, what is it for? From my understanding,
Thank you, Maria. Any other questions? Yes.
Let's go to the school library. The closing of the library, the music, the library, it is happening all over. So I'd like to know which one. What is it that you think on that issue about these libraries and libraries of being closed and the effect that it's going to have on our children?
Thank you for the question. Mrs. Crowley here has been a familiar face at board meetings, advocating on behalf of keeping our libraries open. I know at my child's school, School 21, we had a beautiful, brand-new library that was opened, and probably a year into it, the library was removed to bring in a 3-year grant program, Teach to One, a computer-based math program, and the library was relegated to a small closet downstairs for only kindergarten through 2nd grade. No consultation with parents that this was going to happen, no input from us. We were totally shocked and surprised when we came back to school and realized our library was gone. And now this year, it's been relegated to some other room, and I don't know if it's up in the attic or down in the basement somewhere, even smaller room, because they brought in a self-contained special ed class into the room that was originally the library. So yeah, I have been speaking with Mrs. Crawley. We started a petition to get parents to realize that, some parents didn't even realize that there were that our libraries and our schools have been closing. So we need parents to be aware. Again, I think this speaks to the communication issue between the district and parents. And I am definitely a proponent of school libraries. I think reading is obviously fundamental, not from a computer, but from an actual book. I think it's totally different when you're reading from a book than it is from the computer. And children should have the opportunity to have a library as a class. Where they can come in and maybe have a book of the day, like I know my daughter used to have when she was in like 2nd or 3rd grade, that, the librarian would, have a book of the day, they would discuss the book. So absolutely, I continue to help Mrs. Crawley, advocate on behalf of that. I know she was trying to get a meeting with the board president in reference to that. Unfortunately, I don't think that ever happened. But this is the things that people say, well, come to the board meeting and speak about it so that we know. But what's the point of coming to the board and speaking about it if nobody at the board actually takes any kind of action or helps to take any kind of action? I know there's a lot of grants available. One of the other candidates that's running for the board suggested that there were some grants available that could probably be used to bring some of the libraries back. I don't know how much that was followed up on or not, but again, I think it just takes communication so that we can move forward with getting issues resolved.
Thank you, Christine. And would you just add to it, if you agree, please don't.
I agree with what Christina says. I think that unfortunately, if a child's Wi-Fi signal crashed and you had to go to the library and you said, can you pick out a book from the Dewey Decimal System? And they would probably have to turn to Google and wait for that Wi-Fi signal to come back on to figure that out. I think that the joy of reading is kind of taken away. I was very sad when I attended the new opening of the school, the Frank Sickerell, and walked into should have been a library or a media room. There were no books. There was nothing. And I think that books are so fundamental. It is very important for them to understand how to look up a book based on the Dewey Decimal System, how to look at a librarian and say, I need a resource. Can you help me how to find this catalog? Because that's what they're there for. That's why they studied hard and they got their certifications for it. I think that it's really sad. I make it a custom to take my children to Barnes & Noble's almost every Sunday, and the first thing they pick out is Captain Underpants, The Adventures of Mr. Underpants. And that is what my children enjoy. And I, for one, as a parent, even though I know that in the next grade my child probably won't have a library, still keep the joy of books alive for them. I mean, I'm surprised I still have the Roller Encyclopedia back at home.
Thank you.
But I still keep that.
Thank you. Please, just again, add Stan and then Maria.
Yeah, you know, I grew up on libraries and Dewey Decimal System, which we'll talk about it. Who remembers that? You know, today, if you ask a child about a Dewey Decimal System, how to pick a book, they will go to school. They're not going to go to the library and do these things. Unfortunately, change is very difficult. It's not something that, you know, we love, you know, but it's changing. You know, I think my biggest fear came when I saw the Kindle and the Fire come out, and I realized books were on this iPad, and I said, wow, we're not going to touch pages anymore. So I think it's a growing trend nationally. One of the things that I do know is happening in the Board of Ed is that some of the media centers do have books. They have select books now, so all the books have not been removed. But in some of the centers, there are books, and you know we can advocate to keep books within the media centers as well. You know, but it's going to have to be a balance. Because right now technology is growing and it's moving fast, and you know a lot of our babies that are being raised are coming up. They're using that iPad, they're using the smartphone, and they're navigating. And this is how they're learning today. So learning is changing. You know, when we learn that writing was taken out, you know, that's traumatizing because you know you learn how to write cursive, you learn how to write. You know, that was a class. You know, but the times are changing, and it's not something that's unique to the Elizabeth Board of Education. It's something that's happening nationally.
I think libraries are important because unfortunately a lot of these kids can't afford a computer. A lot of parents don't have it. So a lot of the kids depend on reading, okay? I'm not saying put a whole big library in the school, but why can't we hire some librarians? You know, like in the hospital, they come around with a cart. Why can't kids be given a list of books that they would like to read? And somebody come to the school and have that book ready to give it to X, Y, and Z. Why can't we look at other ways instead? You're saying that we can't have a room only just for books, but let's try to work another way of accommodating, because like I said, a lot of these kids do not have computer access. And a lot of the parents don't want these kids walking by themselves to a library to get a book. Okay? I think that the Board of Education should come up with an idea, come up with book lists, send it to classrooms, see what kid would like what kind of book, have somebody over there, get the books, you know, give them 2 weeks and do the whole thing all over again. They do it in the hospital, why can't we do it in the school? You're not hiring full staff, like for 20 different schools, a librarian, you could cut it down. But schools need books. Children need books. Because we cannot depend on electronics. Because that's not the way I was brought up. My grandson, for 4th of July, he could have went anywhere. He wanted to go and learn about George Washington. I took him to Morristown, where I learned some things too. And then I said, why can't you go to the school and learn about it? Well, we don't have a library. We have to look on the computer. Well, I went on the computer. I didn't learn much. I did not learn much because they take out a lot. In which, when we used to read our Social Security, Social Security, that's a whole other thing. Social Studies books, okay? We learn history. We learn history. We know about history. But these kids, you know, we're trying to get them away from the electronics. We don't want them on the electronics. We want them to learn the old-fashioned way. We want to stop them from all the electronics. You know, hey, what's 1 + 1? Stop with the fingers. Stop with on the calculator. Mental math. That's what we're missing. And we cannot turn around and say, we have electronics. Because you know something? Our brains were around more than electronics. And that's why we need some type of books in our school.
Thank you.
We got to figure out a plan.
Thank you. All right, we had some questions back here. Yes?
Yes, I have a question. Good evening. We spoke a lot, and you guys spoke a lot about the overhaul of special education as well as part testing. Aside from that, and aside from parent involvement, if elected to the board, what initiative would you like to implement going forward?
Okay, go ahead, Marie.
The number one initiative that I would like to implement is community involvement, because there doesn't seem to be many outlets for you or anybody else to come forward and actually say what these issues are and for them to be addressed. I want to be able to involve more of the community by having community roundtables and going to different communities and asking, what are the issues that you're seeing? What would you like to come out of this Board of Education? So that I can take what you're saying and see if maybe we can develop or implement a policy in place to address that. I want to hear from the community. I want to hear from you. I've been sitting at these board meetings now for 3 years, and I've advocated on a plethora of issues. I think that the number one initiative I want to hear if elected to the board is giving you a voice, giving you the parents, the taxpayers, and the citizens here, whether you're a parent or not, a voice and outlet to come and speak to us. Give us your concerns, give us what your issues are, and let us implement a policy that will help and benefit the community as a whole.
Thank you.
That was a great question. Thank you for asking it. One of my main goals and concerns besides testing is to figure out and find out why we have schools that have been failing for the past, 20 years. It's always the same schools. It's school number 1, school number 2, school number 3. Those schools, school number 6, those schools are consistently failing. And so what I would like to do is to go in there and figure out, well, if we can have blue ribbon schools in our district, why can't all of our schools be blue ribbon schools? What is lacking? I can tell you, just from some of the issues that, have arisen from the research that I've done, is that chronic absenteeism is one of the big, problems that arise in those particular schools. So we have to look at why are kids being absent? What is going on? I mean, we live in Elizabeth. It's an urban district with issues, drug, gangs, parents being in jail, alcoholism. I mean, there's so many concerns. Kids can't come to school and learn if they're worried about having food to eat at home tonight, if their mom and dad are in jail. I think this speaks to the bigger issue of needing more guidance counselors in our schools to help address some of these kids' concerns. We need more social workers in our schools. I was surprised to find out that at my child's school, there's one social worker that goes between 2 schools. And we have one guidance counselor, we have about 600 kids. My children's school doesn't happen to be in one of these focus schools, but we still have issues. We still have concerns. We had a child whose parent died, which affects not only the child, but, all the friends. We need to, if we can make 1 or 2 or 3 schools great, we should be able to do that for all our schools. And instead of putting all of our resources and backing and money into one particular school, but we need to do that for all the other schools. So that is one of the things that I want to be able to look at and help address when I become board member.
Thank you. Anyone else? If you agree, just say you agree, but if you have another issue, Stan and then Jose and then Diane.
I don't think you can say we agree. You talked about initiatives, so thank you for asking that. 3 years ago when I ran because of equity. I wanted to establish equity within the schools. I wanted to level the playing field for education here in the district so that all the children could get the same exact thing. I think that what I've learned is that there's a serious need to change the school culture, as I mentioned before, and one of the key focuses would be to not only assist the parents and give them the tools that they need to understand the system, and the process, but also the professional development that's necessary within the district. I mentioned earlier being the chair of education management and working with the Panasonic Foundation and National Urban Alliance, and that was one of the key focuses that we have right now is the professional development, to work with counselors, and added emphasis on guidance counselors, on social workers, on the entire school team. People sometimes think it's the teacher. It's not just the teacher. It's everybody down to the janitors, to the people working in the kitchen, to the security guards. Everybody needs to understand the school culture. They need to understand the plight that Christina is referring to when she talks about, what a student goes through, the challenges that they're faced with. Everybody has to understand that. Every point of contact, from the secretaries to the guidance counselors to everybody has to get it, and it requires professional development. You can't assume that because, you're a secretary, you understand education. You might know how to file, you might know how to do your job as a clerk or a typist, but you need to also understand the culture of school and education. So it's something that I think is key. Professional development is so important, and it's something that I want to champion as we move forward.
Thank you. Diane, and then Jose.
So I guess I'm adding on to a lot of things they've been saying, but what I want to investigate, I want to be part of, in fact, like the child studies team where I sit there and I can help and put my input into how a child is classified, starting with the teacher. So working with the teacher and adding on and making sure that all the steps are taken care of, that a child is analyzed and classified at the beginning, the IP is read, but then at the end of the year, they're not forgotten. And that same exam is taken, and we compare the level. And at the end of the year, yes, if your child increased, then yes, our district is doing a great job. And if they don't, then we need to find another program for them. We need to find where the best place. And if their best place is not in district, then we have to find a good school out of district. And just going back to what Maria was saying, it's important to keep our children out of district. Also, they're part of our family, but keep them in our realm because they're just, the same as our in district. A child being classified, I feel like, has a lot to play. And I think you have, just going back to the special education and where you have just the whole idea of autism, you have such high-functioning autistic children and low-functioning. Why we need a program that can cover the basis of both children. And if we don't, like I say, we have to find the best. But you just can't stick them all in one room and hope that they learn from each other when they're so different. And that's what I'm actually, really focused and key on when I'm like this.
So I would have to pick one outside of special education. Testing, security is a big one, but if I had one to focus on, it would definitely be the high schools, not only the credits, but in terms of how the schedule works. So I've been working on a plan for a few years, doing a lot of research in my education classes, doing a lot of reading. And I have a plan where we can actually lower the graduation requirement, and sometimes people get scared when we say lower the graduation requirement because it's not that we're saying we are lowering expectations, because we'll still give our students the opportunity to get to 160, 170, 180 if they can get there. But there's a way that we can fix the schedule. Another thing with the schedule is our students currently go to school in high school. As a senior, I go to school, my classes are 42 minutes. 3 months from my graduation, I'll be going to college, where some of my classes are 80 minutes, double the time. So there's a way to fix it where we can actually, by spending no money and actually cutting back and saving money, there's a way of block scheduling our schools. Obviously, this would be large input from our principals, from the community, but the plan that I have would block schedule our high schools, which some principals are excited for, that I've spoken to informally about it. We can block schedule it where students will still have 8 to 9 periods a day. They will be in class longer. They'll actually be out of the hallway less. Because by shortening the day in terms of not time, but of classes, so instead of going to class 10 periods a day, where they actually spend 45 minutes in the hallways, and that's if they're on time to class, you start to have 6, 5, 6, 7 classes. Some of that time that they spend in the hallway, you put back into the classroom, into education. So they do spend less time in the hallways. There's less issues in the hallways. There's more time in the class. There's more time to get to the curriculum, get deeper into the curriculum. These students will then be better prepared for college. And on top of it, like one of our colleagues said up here to Ricky, I believe, we can get them to now participate in sports. A lot of the students in Upper Academy or Hamilton don't have the time. They know that it's either sports or school, that they can't do both. And we all know how important sports is and what they do for our children. So there are ways, and that would be my one point, is to change the schedule where we can lower the credits, put more time in the classroom, have more time, and also allow our students to participate in sports and after-school activities.
Thank you.
Thank you. Another question?
No, over here. We raised up our hands.
All right, you're adding, you're not repeating anything. Okay, go ahead, Ricky.
I just want to add on Mr. Rodriguez's plan for shorting school hours. That's good that you're trying to, shorten some school hours, but I don't think we should add more time in the classroom. We see other countries outside of the United States, like Finland, Sweden, all the Nordic countries, the children there are actually spending less time in the classrooms and more time outside, spending social activities like, talking with friends, doing sports. And they're doing incredibly better than what we're doing in the United States. So we should, if it's working for them, why wouldn't it work here? So I would think we should be, students should be spending more time in the classroom, they should be spending more time outside. So that, for example, the library situation, they could be reading books, they could be socializing with their friends, doing sports, doing all kinds of stuff that, children do, because they're children, am I right?
Thank you.
If elected, okay, I would like to see that lottery system change. Okay, a lot of parents are confused. They call the school trying to find out what number their child is on. A lot of schools don't even know. Ronald Reagan told one parent, says, we haven't had an update since 2011. I brought that matter to Stan. Stan is working on it, and I thank him for it, because unfortunately, parents do come to me with their child's report cards and everything. Another one I would like to see changed is the dropout rate. We need an intervention. We have to have people to find out why this kid wants to drop out. Let's try to help that child before he makes that big decision of leaving education. The other ones I would like to work on is our security guards. You know that we had that bomb scare. We didn't have enough security guards. Okay, we opened up the schools. We don't have enough security guards. At the last board meeting, they said, well, the custodians were aware. You know something? What are the custodians going to do? Beat somebody down with a broom or spray ball with them? We need security guards. I'm not trying to be funny, but I'm just trying to hit reality. Equal education. I think every child should be taught at the same level. Okay, I know that we have the gifted and talented schools and things like that, and we have the lower and the upper. I think all kids should be learning the same. Also, what helped in our schools one time before was parent liaisons, where parents would be able to go to the school and speak to the parent liaisons and voice their concerns. Then the parent liaisons would used to sit down with the board members and the people that were in charge and talk about what was going on with, that was taken out. Once that was taken out, this is where all the miscommunications with the parents were going on. But parent liaisons should be back in our schools because it does help the guidance counselors out. So those are my changes.
Thank you. People who have not spoken, yes.
Hi, good evening. I just have a generalized question if you guys get elected. I have a big issue in my daughter's school now, where my daughter's school is going to be 100 years old. And there's so lot of things, but the district is building a brand new school, spending millions of dollars, investing into building new schools. I'm not sure over by exit 13, there's a construction going in, and I'm not too sure if it's true. Is that a brand new school?
Yes,
The state,
Okay.
yeah, the state builds it, not us.
Okay, so, as board members, as upcoming board members, what's your concentration into the older schools? Into the older schools, into the information that is lacking into the older schools. I'm gonna say my daughter's school didn't get their computers because they were lack of the computers. They didn't have enough computers. I'm a big advocate at my daughter's school because the heating system is horrendous. And I don't understand how this district is building more schools, but really not investing into the older schools and into what is the need of the older schools, like, for example, a better heating system or, more computers. The library is a big issue too. I feel like as board members, there should be more voicing into fixing the older schools, not building
Thank
more new
you.
schools.
I think they got that question. Response, yes, Ricky.
Yes, I definitely agree with you with older buildings being new upgrades. I actually spoke to a lot of students, former students, that have had this similar issue. The thing is, what they say is that they lose concentration in classrooms. So with the terrible heating system in the winter, it'll be too cold, and in the summer it'll be too hot. And I really hope that, as if I do become a board member, that I'll bring this issue up and to invest heavily in these older buildings like what's now the Academy of Finance, it's an old building. That was the old upper. So yeah, that building was definitely really bad with the heating system, the cooling systems. Also with, a bunch of schools like School 7, Dwyer, probably, Jeff especially, I've heard a lot of people from that school. Definitely, it's a big issue for most students, for their concentration and their education. So definitely it's a big issue. So,
Thank you. Sam?
Yeah, I think I can speak on behalf of the entire board when it comes to the issues of improving the older schools within the district. As Commissioner Rodriguez mentioned, the new schools that you see being built, when there's a new school built, it doesn't come from the school district's budget. It comes from state funds. The School Development Authority, they come in and they build the schools, they map it out, they do the architectural design, they do everything for it, and then they consult with our properties personnel to see, what are some of the needs within that school. So that is completely separate in an entire different topic of improving current schools that you have. When our school properties committee sits down to meet, key issues are air conditioning, heating, old curtains on the stage, old buildings, rooms that are, bigger cafeterias. We want to expand the gym. We don't want a cafetorium. We want a cafeteria and a gym. These are the things that we want and that teachers are saying to us and principals are saying to us, and it pains us just as much. One of the key things that we have to do and we have to continually do is be good stewards over the $500 million that the district gets. To make sure that we can find dollars to go ahead and, as the years go on, to apply to different improvements in different schools. There's a huge priority list of a lot of old schools of the different work that has to be done and needs to be done. And it's something that we're actively working on. But it's not something that's happening quick enough and fast enough. Because, there are old schools, and then, when a new school is built in a neighborhood, that neighborhood wants to go to that school, and then it turns to a lottery school. So there's a lot of challenges, that exist there.
Thank you. Jose, and then Christine.
I just want to add to Stan. He does speak for a lot of us. All 9 of us are out there. We're very frustrated in terms of what to do with older schools. I'm just going to give you kind of the background. Not back in the day, a few years ago, our school districts used to be called Abbott School Districts. It was a decision made by the state where there was districts that get state money, and we get state money from along the state. Recently, they changed it. We're now called district factor groups and so on and so forth. But either way, what happens is that we're now the SDA, the School Development Association. They change names also frequently. But right now, they are stewards of kind of our buildings. So what does that mean? We cannot legally, we cannot borrow money. We cannot. So a lot of times the old board said, we have no debt. We can't have a debt. By law, we cannot borrow money. The SDA builds our schools, and if we need any kind of new schools upgraded, we also have to apply. The SDA only has a certain amount of money. They, thank goodness, and I'll give that to the old board till the day I die, they were extremely good with applying and getting new schools. And we continue to do that. And we will get those schools. We have Abraham Lincoln School number 13, that's even older. Sorry, 14. That's even older than School 16. We cannot borrow money to fix those schools. We cannot. So it has to come straight out of our budget. What that means is, with the way that our budget works, we would have to cut teachers. Now, how do we get through that problem? And we've been discussing it for a long time on how to do that. We would have to raise taxes, we'd have to use that money, but by trying to save money and trying to find what we can do to upgrade those buildings, what I'm trying to tell you is that change is going to come slow because we are handcuffed. We actually had a meeting with the Legislative District 20, with Senator Lesniak, with Assemblywoman Aneki Hana, and Assemblyman Jamel Holly. And I'm not, believe me, they have 1,000 balls in the air that they're juggling. And we had to kind of tell them, listen, we can't borrow money. We need help. We need more money in this district. And that's what's good about working with these people. We work well with them. They are now fighting. I remember Assemblyman Holly telling me, really? I didn't know that. Tell me more. We were able to discuss it. So it is frustrating. It's frustrating for us. We need to upgrade all the electricity in those schools before we can even put in air conditioning. And so that costs money. And what are we doing? We're working together to try to get that. Is that going to come overnight? No. Does that help you today? It doesn't. But we are trying. And I know that's not what you want to hear, but...
Christine?
Yeah, I just wanted to add to what has been said here. I know there's been a lot of parents, I think I saw Giovanni here in the audience, who have been coming before the board for I don't know how long now, advocating on the same issue that you're speaking to now, as far as needing new air conditioning, floors that need to be renovated, roofs that are leaking, which then damage the floors. So, I can understand that this cannot all be done overnight. We can't put air conditioning in all the schools in one full blast. But when we as parents and as community members see money being spent on public relation firms and other kind of what feels like wasteful spending being spent by this board, yet our children are going to school and coming home drenched in sweat because there's no air conditioning in the schools, well then yeah, we get outraged. And sometimes our anger, comes across when we come to these board meetings, but, you have to understand that when you come before the board and you advocate and you speak and you speak and you speak and you get no response, Mr. Rodriguez was very eloquent here when he spoke and kind of laid it out and explained to us the procedure, but, these things don't get laid out and explained to parents in general at these meetings. So again, it speaks to the lack of communication. Again, I know this all can't be done overnight, but we certainly can start the process. And that's what I feel hasn't happened, is that the process has not been started. Slowly, we can start to upgrade the buildings without having to borrow money and without having to lay off teachers. Unfortunately, people are looking for this no tax increase thing. Well, you know what? My taxes go up every year. Regardless of whatever's happening, they go up every year. I don't know where they go. So you know what? A couple extra dollars in my taxes, if I know that my schools are going to be improved, I'm all for it. You know what I mean? So, we can't hang our heads on this zero tax increase. I want what's best for the community, as I'm sure everybody else here does. I want our children to go to safe schools, like she said, you can't learn if you're sweating to death or if you're freezing, So, we need to prioritize. And again, as a parent, I get very frustrated when we go before the board and we speak on these issues and we get no communication. Again, it just speaks to the lack of parental involvement.
Thank you. Yes, Maria.
I actually wanted to expand on that. I remember I had a conversation with a board member who's not here today, and I said to her how important air conditioning was in school. And she said, well, I went to school and I had no air conditioner. And I said, well, I welcome you to take your office where you are in City Hall, move it into the basement of one of these schools with no air conditioner, and tell me if you were asthmatic, how would you feel? Because that is a big problem. I'm an asthmatic myself. If I get overheated, I can't breathe, I can't function, I can't think. So I actually did some investigations and I did call the State Development Authority, and I found out that the district has the option to apply for what they call an improvement plan, where they can go ahead and apply. Unfortunately, the school buildings have to be in such deplorable conditions in order for you to get a grant, and it goes based on priority of how deplorable is your school. So it comes basically down to the bottom line of having to take that money out of the school's budget. And that's something that has been hesitant. The same parent that has been coming with us to board meetings and advocating actually showed a picture of children sitting on milk crates. We are a district that gets over $500 million in funding. Why are our kids sitting on milk crates? That is absurd. Absolutely absolutely horrible. I think that being good stewards over money is very important, so long as we're not creating jobs for our friends and our contributors to our election funds. I think that that is something that is very prevalent and very predominant here in this district. The district obviously has the option to pay it and not letting off teachers or they talk about raising taxes. Frankly, again, like Christina said, my taxes go up all the time. Does it matter? If it's going to benefit the education of a child, of a student,
Excuse me, Maria, that was...
I'm okay with that.
Okay. And we just have 1 minute, okay? Go ahead, Maria.
I understand. My grandson goes to school 16. And that is
I'm not advocating for 16, I'm actually advocating for 15, but okay.
But he goes and, yeah, he's asthmatic too. And, I've asked him, the first thing, okay, why can't we have portable air conditioning? Then it's another excuse, the electricity. Okay, now we're having an electricity problem. Okay, so if we can't fix all the schools all at once, why can't we just upgrade the electricity year by year to different schools? Okay, this is what I'm saying. If we use a partial amount, not substantial amount of the budget, because you know something, we are still paying attorneys, in which we don't need all these attorneys in there. We don't need made-up positions, okay? We got rid of one gentleman, I'm not gonna name names, out of his position because they couldn't afford his rate, his pay, but they turned around and hired a assistant superintendent, that I won't mention his name, and they upped his pay, $39,000. So, that $39,000, I think that it could go close to $100,000, you said the last time. So I figure it out, all we have to do is come up with $61,000, okay, and try to upgrade some electricity in some of these old schools. That's my opinion.
Thank you, Maria. And I'm really sorry we are out of time. But anyone who has questions that have not been asked, please go up to the candidates, at the end of the meeting, okay? Now, we have at this particular time, each of the candidates will just spend 2 minutes, no more than 2 minutes in the summary, okay? So we'll begin with Jose.
So first of all, thank you very much for everyone to coming out. Thank you to the EEOC, Pat Jelly, for continuing to have this debate year in and year out. I think it's very informative. I think every year more and more people come, and it's become almost the one true debate year in and year out from the school board. So thank you very much for that. I just want to let you know that as a new majority, we've been there for 9 months. 9 months and about a week. We know very well that we have a lot to do. We have a lot to do. We have 20 years of damage that we first have to stop before we can even turn it around. What we're asking for, and I'm asking for, is the community's trust, okay, in us, in me, to continue that change. While we understand that sometimes change comes slow and it is frustrating, we do know that. We live here, we hear it, we knock on doors, and we talk to the community. We're very accessible. We know that it's frustrating. We have so much to do. We have so much still to do. We're hoping that next year, with your support, we're going to be able to do large things. Not only change the high school, the schedule there. We're looking to save some more money, to be able to put it in the classroom. We're looking to hire more teachers, more guidance counselors. The parent liaisons, we have a plan to perhaps bring them back at a part-time rate, because they were so important, because they were cut by the old majority. So what we're asking is for your trust, again, to continue what we've been doing. I'm an educator. I fight for my students day in and day out. I will continue to fight for the 28,000 students that live here, for the families that pay taxes, whether they have students or not. Many families are struggling day in and day out. We need to be financially responsible, but also know that every single penny matters, because every single penny that we can save is that penny that goes into that classroom. There are so many issues that we need to fix. So hopefully on November 8th, you can come out and support our team, 2, 4, and 10. Thank you.
Okay, thank you again for everybody being in a lump sum. You know, I sit here and I think, well, you know, what's the best reason? What can I offer and be an asset to this board? Me, simply me, a mother that goes home and loves her children dearly and doesn't sit back for her children and doesn't sit back for yours. That's what I can bring to this table. I can bring my ideas for a safe and educationally equal, well, not equal, educationally fundamental school district. Each of us here sitting up here, we're smart, but together, the 9 members, we're brilliant, and we can make it happen if we all just put our mind. And I'll use my knowledge and my daily expertise to bring it to the table, to help be that outlet, that outreach for that parent that's nervous, that looks at their child when they put them to bed and wonders if the next day, will they have a good teacher? Will they learn their ABCs? Will they learn how to count? Will worry no more? That's what I'm going to be there for. I'll be your liaison. Thank you.
Thank you for everyone coming out and listening to us. Board of Education is the most important election around, next to the president. See, because this determines the future of your child. And where do you come from, where it starts, when you have a strong, supportive board member. 28 years I started advocating in this school, and I continue. I've outraged. People know me as that radical lady. I had to be radical because children are important to me. Adopting 17 children, which I never had to do, but I had to show them a brighter future. My 32 grandchildren that are attending the Elizabeth School. My 3 great-grandchildren that are attending. Parent liaison, now all of a sudden, he's coming up with, but I've never heard it before until I mentioned it tonight. Parent liaison was important in our schools, just like libraries are. I'm not saying that the board is not doing what they have to do, but I think a lot of politics have to stay out of our school to get jobs done. I don't think that commissioners should have somebody to answer to. I think to become a board commissioner, the only person you have to answer to is the parents and the children. That's it. By listening to what parents and children have to say, we know what we have to do because we're sitting there. So November 8th, come out and vote for the big mouth lady, Maria DeRosa.
Thank you. Again, thank you everyone for coming out this evening and being part of this debate. Thank you, Pat Jelly, for putting this together. This is awesome, and you know, it's been one of the, as Jose said, one of the true debates that we have here in our city that allows for you a forum to get to know these candidates and understand what we're all about. And this is one of the key times that you get a chance to really get to know who we are. You know, over 20 years ago, I started this journey to help improve education, to help improve the lives of families and the quality of life here for students here in the city of Elizabeth, and I want to continue, you know, and I plan to continue, and I have a great team that I'm working with to continue that dream and continue that vision and mission, you know. But the one key advice I can give, well, before I give any advice, I would just want to commend the candidates for running, because to be a board commissioner takes a lot, you know, and I'm speaking from experience. You know, so the fact that you have a young college student here who has decided to do this, and you have parents who care, you have advocates who care, and educators who come from a very busy schedule and say, hey, they want to make time out to become a board commissioner, they need to be commended. So let's give all the candidates a big round. More importantly, the advice I do want to share is, you know, we're all public servants, whether we get elected or not, we're public servants. And I challenge you to hold us accountable. Hold us accountable because we work for you. You know, and all the needs that you have and all the concerns that you have, continue to call us, continue to visit us, and continue to knock on our doors until you get that answer that you need. You know, because if it's not us, it's going to be someone else. And you're going to have to continually advocate. And that's so important in order to improve our city, our community, and education. So on election day, you know what to do, and you know what's important to you, you know what's important in your heart. You know I'm advocating for my teams for 4 and 10. We are there for you, we will be there for you, we will continue to work for our families in the city, we'll continue to work for you, the citizens, whether you have kids in the school or not. You matter, your vote matters, your voice matters, everything that you're about matters to us. So thank you so much, and God bless you all. Thank you for coming.
I just want to say, I want to thank you all for showing up today. You know, one reason why I decided to run this year, I know it's random, 18-year-old running from school board, it's kind of out of nowhere. You know, as a junior, I did work as a canvasser for the current board majority. And, you know, I believe what they said, that the old board was corrupt. But I don't think they followed through with that. And it's not their fault. It's through special interests that take control of political machines that are here. And I believe that. And, you know, as an independent candidate, I'm just a regular citizen here in Elizabeth that want to create change for this community. And I want to start that, you know, through schools. And, you know, hopefully one day create real change here, a progressive change for schools that are in need of progress. So I hope on November 8th, you guys come and show up to your polling locations and vote number 7, Ricky Casanova. Thank you and good night.
Well, I feel that the majority now has heard some of these issues when they were the minority before 3 years ago. These issues are not new, they've been pre-existing issues. We need to hire qualified, and I'll repeat that again, qualified individuals that understand what they're doing, not friends who have contributed to their election funds or that they want to owe a favor to. I also want to work very hard. Like I said, I was a high school dropout. I want to be able to increase the graduation rates. I want less on the dropout rates. There should be no reason why a child should be dropping out in the 9th grade as they have been doing here in Elizabeth. I think that is absolutely appalling. If we put more resources in place, we'll be able to get these kids to stay in school and actually realize the value of that education and someday maybe be like me and get that master's degree that I have today. I think that programs for, you know, girls that are pregnant. I don't encourage any girl getting pregnant in high school, but let's face it, it happens. There's no program, there's no program for them to go or referral service for them to get any help. They're just pushed to the side and cast aside. I also want to work and function if elected on committees. This year, the Finance Committee here for the new majority board met 6 times. I'm going to tell you how important the High School Dropout Committee was, the Safety Committee, and the Policy Committee. It was important enough to meet once in the time that they have been elected and sat there on this board. If that is the change in transparency, I'm very saddened by that. The Special Ed Committee only met 3 times. And this is where a lot of the bulk of the issues come from. Now, I will tell you this. I may not have $40,000 to run a campaign or be featured in a commercial. And I may not be backed by Hillary or Cory Booker or Senator Lesniak himself. But I will tell you that for a nonpartisan election, voting for me, you have the things that money cannot buy. That's honesty, my passion, my integrity, and accountability. Again, I am a parent, I am not a politician, and I encourage all of you to hold me accountable. And I'm actually commending Mr. Neron for actually saying that, because that is the only board member here that has said, hold me accountable. And I welcome you all to do the same with me and my running mate, Christina Morera. I'm number 6, she's number 1. Remember, we're parents. We're your voice, we are you, the taxpayer, the citizen, and the voter of Elizabeth. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out today. It's good to see some familiar faces in the crowd. I just want to say that I obviously agree with everything that Maria said, because she's my running mate, and so we agree on basically most of the same issues. But I just want to reiterate, you know, I know I've heard a lot from the community where, you know, we get that, you know, we're angry parents. Well, you know what? Nobody starts off angry. We start off trying to do things, you know, in a calm way, by approaching the people that we're told to go to. But when you come to a point where you feel like your voice isn't being heard and that your concerns are falling on deaf ears to the people that are supposed to care, yeah, you start to get frustrated and you start to get angry. And so I've reached the point where, you know, I love being an advocate and I love helping parents, and they come to me and Maria, and you know, we try to help them. And we've just gotten to the point where, you know, we need to go to that next level. And that next level is actually affecting the policy, because that's what board members do. They're not supposed to be in the schools, managing the schools, or running the schools. They're supposed to be making policy, and the superintendent is supposed to be following that policy. And I think that's sometimes backwards. The superintendent is making the policy, and the board members are writing it up as she dictates it. So I think we need to cut the school day for the high school. I totally agree with Ricky Castaneda's that he has an online petition going around to do that. He has over like 1,000 signatures. I commend him for doing that. It's great to see kids his age getting involved. I hope that when we get elected, that we can create a student you know, council, student board members, so that we can get input from the community. I would also like to see money saved from cutting back on the school day, going towards tutoring programs, starting a GED program, getting more social workers and guidance counselors. And I just want everybody to remember to come, that we are parents. Me and Maria are parents. We're not politicians. We don't work for City Hall. We don't have any political backing. We're number 1 and we're number 6. We're Sweet 16 in 2016, so please come out and know that. Thank you.
Throughout the evening.
Is there a way I can put your reference real quick?
Really
important.
No.
No. All right, so I just
no, Ricky,
bring honesty
please.
here. It is not.
Thank you very much, Ricky. Thank you.
Not.
It's not your position?
Yeah, it was anonymous by a current student. That's all I know. Sorry, I just want to clear that out. I don't want to take credit for anyone.
Oh,
All right.
I understand the
Yeah.
direction. So you have expressed your gratitude to the candidates throughout the evening, but let's do it once more time. And we'd also like to express the gratitude for all of you for coming out this evening. Wonderful. Mentioned a few times, it's an easy name to remember, but it really was the members who did all the groundwork, and our bilingual organizer back there in English and Creole. We thank all the members of EOC and the bilingual organizer as well too, for all the preparation for this evening. And Liz Smith is our executive director. Really thank each one of you, and I hope that you do vote on November 8th for the persons you want, and that you come to school board meetings, and I think I heard it a number of times tonight that they listen, and that's it. But if you, as the person who's asking the question, say, I expect an answer in a month, 2 months, whatever is reasonable, then that, you know, if you don't get an answer, you can in fact go to the next level. So, blessings on each of you.
When's your next meeting?
Yes, don't forget about November 15th. And the